Yo guys, welcome back. Yesterday you saw branded, 60 card branded, breaking all the boards. And a few days ago I posted a video about the best player in Master Duel. If you have not checked this video out, if you have not seen this video, go check that out in the top right corner. Which is a player who always plays a 60 card branded list. And I want to talk about this today a little bit closer because today I have some word finding difficulties, but because I have basically copied this list, took it to the ladder and made a very fast climb from a Master 5 to Master 1. It was probably the most fun I had on a climb in a long time. This crazy 60 card pile here, which I copied from Arbomod, the creator I am basically referencing as the best player in Master Duel. He also has a YouTube channel. As I already said, if you have not seen the other video, go check that out. There are a few changes I have. He at the current moment has triple branded lost. I only play one because I didn't want to make more, which I substituted one additional super polymerization in this, and then one additional triple tactics talents, because I thought this is just nice. This might look a bit clumsy and too much, but this actually works, and the grass, that grass looks greener, isn't even that important. You don't really need to resolve it. It's nice to use this to bait an Ash for a branded fusion. The funny thing is that even if you don't hard roll your branded fusion, which obviously you don't really in a 60 card deck or not that often, it's not that hard to get to your branded fusion because we are also playing the Albion here, which can send the branded retribution, and then you often have access to Saroni or something else that can send something, and then you can re-add it, or you have other means. You just have a Fallen of Albers in the hand and can go into your Albion Mirror Jade line. Obviously you could also go and play, I have not tested that, you could also go and play the Gimmick Puppet Lock, which in a 60 card deck that could definitely work. If you're not aware, you can summon the Gimmick Puppet here, which says your opponent cannot special summon on your opponent's board in your opponent's turn, or at any time in your opponent's turn via the Albion here. You could also do this, I guess, but I never had the feeling that I needed this. Obviously you brick sometimes with this. There are crazy cards in here. So for example, there's also, and I guess I would also put this in there, there's also the Borrowed Furious Dragon, which is very nice, because one problem that Branded has, and we will take a look at a few replays in a moment, has that it cannot really destroy cards. So if, for example, your opponent floodgates you with something annoying, then you basically only have your Guardian Chimera popping your opponent's cards, which is why in the beginning this was so bad against Runic, because you just couldn't destroy the floodgates, right? And the Borrowed Furious Dragon allows you to destroy one monster of yours and one card or your opponent controls, quick effect once per turn, which is actually really cool and really strong. You can, for example, pop your own Albion, which if he then is in the grave, you can set something. Another card that you could think about, which I really like when playing this in the TCG, is Magnum the Reliever, which this card is totally crazy. You can target one polymerization spell or one fusion spell in your graveyard. Given in the TCG you have 3 brand fusion, so you have more, but you can also target the fusion deployment or also the fusion duplication here. But the Magnum the Reliever says that you target them, then place that card on the bottom of the deck, then draw one card, so draw one and recycle a fusion card. That's nice, but when another card or effect is activated, or when another card or its effect is activated, quick effect, you can banish one polymerization spell or fusion spell from your grave, which normally you have some in there, then target one card on the field, destroy it. And the funny thing is that this also works when you activate a card or effect, because this does not say your opponent needs to activate it. You can also do this. So you can even guide when you want to do this. If you need to destroy something, then you can just go, okay, I activate card now, I have my Magnum on the field, and then you can destroy something by banishing one of your poly spells. Super poly, fusion deployment, poly of fusion spell. How is it worded? I have to quickly check. Polymerization or fusion. Yeah, this works. So there are 2 cool cards that you could also play, the Magnum the Reliever, and then also the other card I just talked about. You could exchange this for the Parapel Inverter Anaconda, which I didn't really find that amazing. Also the Alba Nenatos, which obviously you can do something if you have, for example, a Branded lost up and we go into Alba Nenatos against a Snake Eye opponent, Flame Birch Dragon, then because you have fusion summon, contact fusioned, then your opponent cannot react and resummon the level 1 bodies because of the Branded lost. And it's obviously a dragon, the Flame Birch Dragon, right? But for example, this could be out, and he wasn't also not running the branded in red, which I like the branded in red. Oftentimes you can just set your branded banishment with your Albion and then fuse with your opponent's boards, especially great against another branded player. But yeah, this was so much fun. I will go over the deck list card by card, name by name at the end of the video if you want to go check that out. Obviously, it's not the most inexpensive deck. It costs something, but unfortunately, branded that has a really nice secret pack, as we have talked about a few times now. You can see win streak in current rank 5, and this is not because I played in Master 1, this is when I reached Master 1. So I really had some nice win streaks here, for example this one, but then also I had here, this was like a 7 or 8 win streak here. But you can't see them all. These are 6, and I think there were 2 more here, which there also are some games that I have saved. But we can quickly take a look at the last match I played. 2 rank up, I have saved this here in the replay section. Let me know in the comments, by the way, what you think of Branded. The funny thing is that for a long time I was like, oh, Branded, I don't really like the deck. But then I once again started playing it because I really found this 60 card list interesting. Also found the guy really interesting because he always top tournaments. And then once again found out that I really like Branded because it's that complex. So bear in mind here, these were played a time ago, so I might not remember all of the replays and what happened. We hard draw Branded Fusion here, which is crazy. So as you can see, and this is how it oftentimes will work, there are basically no hand traps in here besides the Maxi, and then I think 1 Ash for the cross out. We will see this in a moment when we go over the deck list. But the idea is, and he also writes this in his deck guide, we don't care about anything, just break the board. The idea is to break the board, which also makes this deck very fun because you have a lot of options. So this is basically kind of I also like to going second deck variant that wants to break your opponent's board. Which, in my opinion, correct me if you think you see this differently, but I personally like breaking the board more. This is more interactive. I have to think more than just like throwing hand traps at my opponent and then, for example, he goes Snake Eye Ash, I go Infinite Impermanence, his turn ends. That's not super interesting, but obviously very strong. You can't really argue against this. So he goes Rota for Kashtira stuff, and then obviously reveals Unicorn, which is the most likely thing that he will grab here if he doesn't have it already. Seems that he doesn't have it, and it's so nice. The Fallen of Alba's normal summon against the Kashtira Shangri era is amazing. I'm not quite sure if we will do this here. So it's basic combo here. We go for the Fenrir, then Fenrir can search us something here. And another Unicorn for follow-up because he already has the Rysart. We have seen this already. He goes Rysart and then goes Shangri-Ira. You know the drill. We can still make the big boy, and I think this is also what's happening here. Always check your banished cards. We are losing one of our Quems. This is okay. We have another one. Fortunately, this is face down, otherwise the Despian Tragedy would have triggered now. We resummon the Fenrir and then go for an Rysart, which fortunately this only has 1 material at this moment. So what I'm thinking here is, I think I draw an opening. Okay, but what I'm thinking here at this point, I could not activate Sauron here. My thought process was like, okay, I don't want to give him a lot of cards, so it's obviously very easy for me to just go Fallen of Albas, discard a card, and then fuse away. I could also go Fusion Deployment if I wanted to, but I have the Fallen already. I could also go Fusion Deployment, Fallen of Albas, and then still normal summon the Aluba, but I have the Branded Fusion already. Let's see what I did here, because I'm not quite sure. Could also be the case that I go Fusion Deployment, summon a Fallen, effect, discard the Fallen, so my Branded in red is live, which it won't be because there is a banishment. Let's see what happens here. I go normal summon, discard the Aluba, because obviously now I can't normal summon Aluba anymore, so I don't need it anymore, and then can fuse the boss monster away for a Mirror Jade, and we are already golden. Obviously we will lose the Mirror Jade now and lose 5 cards on the top of our deck, which is fine. We can still chain the Mirror Jade. We get the Titanic Clad to the grave, which is something I did a lot of the times, this is amazing, because in the end phase this can special summon you an Albas, which if you have not activated him then already, can fusion summon. Or you can special summon the Quem, which can dump an Albas into the graveyard, and then in theory on your opponent's turn when a card leaves the extra deck, which is something you control, you have a great amount of control over as the Branded player, then you can just fuse away with the Albas and your opponent's board, which is just insane. So we go Mirror Jade here, we banish the Shangri-Ira because Shangri-Ira is a bit hard to get rid of. He flips our cards. I'm not quite sure what he banishes. I guess the Albas makes the most sense here. There goes the Albas, which obviously now I have lost 2 Albases already. I go for the Fusion Deployment to maybe bait an Ash to get the Cartesia online. So what my goal here is to just make plays and activate the Branded Fusion basically at the end, so that he might Ash me at some other point. I go this one into Ganginol and Bestial Saronir, which is nice because I can go 1 and 2, and obviously he could also Ash me here, because in theory this would be my access to Branded Fusion if I would not have it already. already. The Saronir dumps the branded Retribution, and then I can dump an Albion, which Albion is such a cool card. Albion is Fallen of Albers in the grave, so I could use this for branded in red. I have not Fallen of Albers in the grave though, but Albion can now go back into the deck and send another branded card into the graveyard, which I can then recur with my branded Retribution. So I send branded Lost, which is very nice. I can go Retribution, get back the Lost here. To kind of protect my branded fusion, obviously not from Ash, unfortunately. Not quite sure if I go branded in red here first, but he goes and makes Telemans Kashtira, which I think, okay, I don't really care. He will probably mill me. And obviously, what would have been great for him, I would say, is that if he would have hit my Fallen of Albers, right? Because then my branded fusion would not have been live anymore. But 74 cards, I only have one Fallen left. It's not very likely to hit this. But I guess this is an okay play, making this just to try to hit my Fallen of Albers. Which I then can also use my Ganginol because the monster was special summoned by the effect of a monster. We will see the mill here not hitting what he wanted to hit. He can add back his trap, but that's okay. I won't be able to kill him this turn, I think, but I will establish a situation that I cannot lose. So we are, this is actually funny because he dumps the Bestial Lobelion into our grave, which we want, and another Fallen of Albers alias Albion the Shrouded Dragon, which in theory we could use for next turn, dumping something into our graveyard. Then we go Granguignol. I decide to go into Dogmatica Maximus, which this Dogmatica engine here is very nice because you can go ahead and dump cool extra deck monsters to the graveyard. For example, the Rindbrom, which in your opponent's turn can summon the Fallen of Albers, and then you can fusion summon, though obviously against Kashtira, Fallen of Albers does not have a lot of targets. You could also dump an Albion if you don't have access to it. So for example, if I would not have my branded fusion, I could dump the Albion to set a branded banishment or red, or I can also dump a Garua to draw one, and my opponent will also do stuff out of his extra deck, which, as you can see here, he already has banished 6 and has used up 2 more, so there are only 7 left, so -2, there are now only 5 left. Obviously Kashtira is still strong without the extra deck, but yeah, it is how it is. So now I go for the branded fusion, which does not get hit here. I could have also sent, so I'm sending a Bestial Lobelion here, my second one. Could have also sent a Cartesia, but I already have a Cartesia, so I mean, I also already have a Bestial Lobelion, but the thing is that I only have this Saroni in here, so if I hard draw the Bestial Lobelion on a potential next turn, then I can't search the Saroni because it's already in the grave, so it would be even deader than would be a Cartesia. So I go classic line here, we go into Albion, then I decide to go Albion 1, branded Lost 2 here. I think we are sending, let me see what I'm doing here. Do we go for the Lobelion? I'm not quite sure. Go for the Mercuria. Now we have a Monster Gate live. I think I go for, okay, so I'm deciding here to keep this one, to keep the Albion and banish the Fallen and the Titaniclad. Obviously it's a bit sad because the Titaniclad would have meant I would have gotten a Quem onto my field in the end phase, but in this case I decided against that, to keep my Albion on the field and keep both of my hand cards. Obviously could have also gone into the Lobelion here, but then I would have needed to discard a hand card, and also could have used this one, but if I have used this one I couldn't send this away to the graveyard with the Bestial Lobelion, and then would not have gotten his graveyard end turn effect, which I valued more than the Titanic going into a Quem. So I'm going a branded in red here. Not sure what I am doing. I guess we are doing a Guardian Chimera? No. We are doing Pleasure. Okay, Plan Dragostopedia. I just wanted to establish a board. So I wanted to clear his board. So I thought, like, okay, Maximus can battle here, Dragostopedia can kick this, and then Mirrorjade this one. And then I have a monster negate and a banish, and another monster negate, and another branded in red, which still has a target because of the Fallen of Albers in my grave for next turn. I go battle phase here. And then I will also use the Maximus in a moment, obviously, to get even more cards, to draw another card and get more stuff to the graveyard here. So we go Maximus, I dump another Albion. I dump another Albion because I've used, yeah, exactly, I've used this Albion for the brand and red, which obviously I could because I still can use the Dogmatica to dump the second one, even though I have used up my Albions now, you could also say. I set the Super Polymerization here, which, as I already said, is not that great against Kashtira, but it's also not dead, and it's always nice to set a face-down card so your opponent might think this is an infinite permanence. So in the end, we are getting our Cartesia back to hand, which is nice because now we can discard Cartesia for a potential Super Poly. The Tribrigade Mercuria is live, and then I also go Albion and set the branded banishment here, which has not a lot of targets, but it's also quite nice for potential follow-up. I can also fuse with myself. He goes for Castillo Unicorn. I decide to draw Stapelia. Could have used the Mirror Jade obviously also, but I just wanted, so the advantage of keeping stuff on the board against Castillo obviously is that if he has a second Kashtira like Fenrir, he cannot special summon the Fenrir because there's already a body on the field, so I decided to use the Dragostapelia. The disadvantage obviously is if he has a Kashtira Theosis and no other Kashtira body, then it would have been better to use the Mirror Jade, but I guess it makes more sense to play it like this instead of playing it like the Mirror Jade way. So negates, and I think this could also be the end of the game. He battles over this. This is totally fine for me, obviously, end phase. And it seems to be that he does not have another Kashtira monster, because otherwise he could have also gone battle phase, battled into Mirror Jade, and then summoned the other Kashtira monster main phase too. In the end phase, I decided to banish this Alba Lenatus into the grave, and Alba Lenatus can now add a fusion deployment for next turn for follow-up. Could have also added a branded fusion. It doesn't really matter, because obviously this game is over. So this was the rank up game. Now I go for Quem here and dump another Fallen. Now I dump the Branded Sword, which Branded Sword is actually nice. This can be banished to add a Fallen of Albas or mention card back. So I recycle a Fallen of Albas, then I summon the Cartesia. He goes for Maxi. I'm like, I guess we are going Mercurior here. And now I'm not quite sure whether I'm 5/7. This is not game, right? So I guess I summon once more. So I have game, but no more, because otherwise I play into a Nibiru, then I can add something else, another Mercurial for a negate, so the not the Nibiru because we've used it already, but for potential next turn. Doesn't really matter because we win here at this point. And obviously the cool thing is that the Albion Sanctifier Dragon can also, if the Mirror Jade is in the graveyard, just summon it back and the Mirror Jade effect is live then again. So Albion also a really insane card. Yeah, this was really fun, this climb here. I can only, if you like the branded deck and you have the stuff already, then go check out the 60 card version. It's like a bit, it's just fun, right? The 60 card board breaker thing, because you can see we have one Ash that we only have in here for the cross out, and obviously it's also a good hand trap. And then we have triple Maxi. Okay, we also have the impermanences here, because I was playing a list in the CCG where I don't play any hand traps at all, but for 60 card decks, 7 hand traps is obviously not that much. This is more of a board breaker approach that we are going for here. Very fun. And for all of you wanting the deck list, I go over this now. We have 1 Despian Tragedy, 3 Maxi, 1 Ash Blossom, 3 Fallen of Albas, 2 Alubar, 2 Tribrigade Mercurial. You could also play 1 if you wanted to. I will talk about the replacements when it comes to Ultra Rares and tell you whether you need them or you don't. Then we have 1 Spring and Skid, very nice card, 2 Blazing Cartesias. You could play 3, 2 Guiding Quanks. You could also play 3 Guiding Quanks. You can also play 1, but I like 2, honestly. We have 1 Bestial Magnamut, 1 Bestial Sarone, and 1 Jerusalem. Oh, okay, I stand corrected here. I would have had another target for the Bestial Lobelion. We are playing a bigger Bestial package here at the current moment. We have the Dogmatica Maximus that we can get with our Nadir Servant, which Nadir Servant is so nice to get the Garura in the grave and then draw 1, for example, or the Titanic Lad. You always want to get the Titanic Lad in the grave, or the Albion. And then we have Albion the Shrouded 2 times. You can also bump this up to 3. This is an amazing card. 2 Bestial Lobelion. I think the 2 is fine. We have 1 Harpy's Feather Duster to grab it via Thrust, or to just hard draw it when going second. We have 1 Foolish, which obviously gets you Despian Tragedy into Aluba. We have Goldsack, which gets you Despian Tragedy into Aluba. You don't need to craft these if you don't want to craft them. I think these 3 one-offs here are not that important and could be interchangeable, but these are basically branded fusions, these 2 here. And then that Grass Looks Greener is just an insane card. Sometimes you get unlucky and mill all your Fallen of Albas, then it's really bad, but this doesn't really happen. The statistical chance of this is not that high. So this can be very nice, getting a lot of your important stuff to the graveyard and enabling your plays, or your opponent wants to ash this so you can get your branded fusion through. You have fusion deployment 3 times. You have 2 Nadir Servant. We have 2 Triple Tactic Talents. We have 1 branded in white. Very nice if you have the Albas in the grave to still get a Mirror Jade. We have 1 branded fusion, 3 Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 branded Lost. He was playing 3, as I already said. You can do this if you have more of these, because it's just such an amazing card. Obviously, in an ideal world, you want to just set it with the Bestial Lobelion. We have 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Called By, 1 Crossout, 1 branded Opening, 3 branded in High Spirits, which is definitely a card that I didn't really understand at the beginning. Such a strange card. It's basically, they call it Small World for Despia, but it's really a nice card. because this can get you a Fallen of Albus or a monster that mentions it to your hand, so you can get any starter thing that you want, for example a Cartesia or a Quem, or the Fallen of Albus himself, an Albion, a Springen Skid. You can get a lot of stuff. You can get a branded in red. No, you need a monster, sorry, not the branded in red. This is really nice because you just need to show a monster in the hand and then send a monster from the extra deck to the grave, which oftentimes will be an Albion, which also in the end phase is bonus advantage for you. Could also be the Titaniclad, which Titaniclad basically always means you get to your Guiding Quem. This is where the Titaniclad shines, to get you the Guiding Quem or Fallen of Albus in end phase, which definitely has saved me some games in this climb game, the game you saw yesterday, where I was nearly not able to break the tier limit opponent, but then did because of the Titaniclad and summon the Albus in the end phase. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the video from yesterday. A very insane game there. 3 branded in high spirits, 1 branded in red. Really cool with the Guardian Chimera, a core play here. Very amazing. Could also put an ad libitum here somewhere if you wanted to make the branded in red play stronger and to get an additional Mirror Jade. Though keep in mind the Quem can also revive a Mirror Jade with her effect, and then also the Albion, the Sanctified Dragon, can revive a Mirror Jade. So a lot of ways where that you can use to revive a Mirror Jade. You only have to get the Mirror Jade into the grave, which normally you will do via Blazing Cartesia. You can't do it with the branded in red because this one banishes the fusion monsters, so keep that in mind. Triple Infinite Impermanence, the branded sword, that you can just dump this to the graveyard and then banish this to target one of your banished monsters. This is Fallen of Albus, or mentions it and add that monster to your hand. Really nice recursion. This is not needed, but I liked it, I have to say. You don't want to, it's obviously in the hand, this is also a discard. You don't want to hard draw it, but if you draw it, then you can discard it for an opening or something else. Then we have Branded Banishment, also a very nice fuse with your opponent's board card. And then keep in mind that you can just fusion summon with your opponent's board, and you don't even need to fusion summon with the monster that you added here or any of your monsters, which against Snake Eyes, for example, can be nice, getting 2 of the bodies away for a Garua, for example. Then Fusion Duplication, really cool card that you want to set with your Thrust if your branded fusion gets ashed, or if your branded fusion is in the grave, or you can get it into the grave, but maybe you can't get it out of the grave. So sometimes you only have access to, for example, only the Albion, then you can get the branded fusion into the grave, but not the branded retribution. But if you then have access to your Fusion Duplication, you can just go branded fusion on your opponent's draw phase, which your opponent cannot stop because this is not branded fusion and can't be ashed. This could be Ghost Belt, by the way. Then we have branded retributions. Such a strong card. This is a good counter trap if you want to use it for that, but this also is so nice. Just banish this and get any of the other branded cards to the hand. Might it be the Lost, the Brand in Red, or the Brand Fusion. This is just such an MVP card. We have Garua, Darkest Apelia, Garua for target for super polymerization. If the meta changes, you can also put a Mud Dragon in here. Darkest Apelia is our one negate that we have. Otherwise, we have more like soft interactions with, for example, banishing or destroying something. One Titanic that I've talked about this, sending him for a Quem or for an Albus. 2 Albion, you need 2, that's for sure. 1 Despian Coetus, very strong. You can summon this via your Grangignol, very, very strong. You could also, by the way, play Grangignol. There's a line that you can use if you get your branded fusion to gimmick puppet lock your opponent only with a branded fusion, but yeah, you could do this. 2 Mirror Jades because it's just insane. Keep in mind you can only control 1. We have 1 Nobelion, you need them. The Albaninatus is cuttable definitely, and then I would put in a Magnum the Reliever, or the other card I talked about in the beginning. We have 1 Grangignol, you need the Grangignol for sure. You need the Rindbrom, very nice. If you have this in the graveyard, this can banish itself and summon a Fallen of Albus from the grave, and then Fallen of Albus can use his fusion summon interruption. The Albion is such a great card. You can get the Albion, you need this. Guardian Chimera, insane, and the Predator Vert Anaconda, which I was struggling a lot with because this card is so strange. For example, if you have used a lot of your things, like for example the branded fusion, then you can only do fusion summons, but this is a link monster, and the thing is, I was able to get this to the field, so I made this and gotten a Saronir to the grave, and the Saronir got me access to my branded fusion, but then I couldn't use the branded fusion because it works like a pot of prosperity, that if I have a linked summon before, then I cannot use my branded fusion anymore because branded fusion says you can only special summon fusion monsters from the extra deck. So this was really annoying. So the Vert Anaconda also has this clause here, so I crafted this especially for this deck. If I would have understood how in quote-unquote bad, it's not super bad, but how ungood this card is, I would not have crafted this. So don't go ahead and craft this, just play the Magnum the Reliever, for example. This is a rare. So the thing with the Predator Plant Verta Anaconda is you can pay 2,000 life points, send 1 fusion or poly spell from your deck to the graveyard. This effect becomes that spell's effect when that card is activated. Cool, you can activate Brand New Fusion from the deck. This sounds amazing, but also you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn. So you can't go into your Albion or to your Bellion and then into your Mirror Jade, because when you make your Albion, then you can't special summon anymore for the rest of the turn. So you can't go into Mirror Jade. So what you have to do, and this works obviously, you can just use your Predator Plant Verta Anaconda, which is a link monster, and a Fallen of Albas to make a Mirror Jade. So you can use this to get into a Mirror Jade, which is nice, I guess. So if you can't do anything and you have to affect monsters, make this go into the Mirror Jade. The cool thing is that then also your branded fusions in the graveyard, this is actually quite nice, the sends to the graveyard, right? Yeah, genau. So the sends to the graveyard, which means the branded fusions in the graveyard, which means if you have your fusion duplication, for example, you can use the branded fusion again in your opponent's turn, or if you have your retribution, you can get your branded fusion back to your hand. Keep in mind that you can't activate it this turn, but this is also quite nice, sending your branded fusion to the graveyard, another way to do this. But yeah, the Predator Plant Verta Anaconda is not bad, but if you don't have it, I wouldn't craft it for this, because I would say play the Magnum. Magnum is a nice card in the grind game, very, very strong. But yeah, this is the list. This is my experience. It was amazing. I can quickly show you here. I've also recorded the thing here. I went basically 60 win rate here with the deck branded in brand, 43 to 23 in loss and wins. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this list. What do you think of this 60 card? 60 cards in general. The idea obviously being that one-offs that you don't want to draw, like for example the branded retribution, which you want to dump to the grave and not draw, that you draw them less often because you have 60 cards in here. Very cool list here. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for being here until the end. If you like my channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.